जय
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
जय
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
जय
गंगा माई की जय।
जय
जमुना माई की जय।
जय
तुलसी देवी की जय।
जय
भक्ति देवी की जय।
जय
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय
गौर प्रेम आनंदे।
हरि हरि बोल।
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. All
हरे
glories
हरि
to Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
We are reading from the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 1. And we're at text 190. Is this Sanskrit, right?
Yes.
Yes. Matulyo nasti papatma naparadhi chakaschana parihari pitlajame kim bruve purushottama. Dear Lord, let us inform you that no one is more sinful than us, nor is there any offender like us. Even if we wanted to mention our sinful activities, we would immediately become ashamed, and what to speak of giving them up. Purport. This verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 to 154 by Srila Rupa Goswami. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sha Pandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'm asking permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are seniors. Thank you. So, if this verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, how that was written later, after Lord Chaitanya's activities. So, how would you reconcile that? You understand the question?
No, I don't understand the question, Prabhu. Please repeat.
So this verse, it says in the Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that this verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, which was written later after Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. So how could it be here, which is during Lord Chaitanya's pastimes? Did he just kind of add it here because it would seem like a nice thing to do at this time?
It was spoken then, but it was
put into the, like, it was put into the book later?
Yes, certainly, because the same author, Rupa Goswami, is the author, and he's the one. He and his brother are the ones speaking it here. So those same instructions are included in the later work of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Lord Chaitanya, he instructed Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami for many, many days. Sanatana Goswami in Benares and Rupa Goswami in Allahabad. And those, even though those instructions, we'll read many of them here in the Caitanya Charitamrita, they were later compiled and supported in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and other literatures that the six Goswamis, headed by Rupa and Sanatan, wrote. So this is a good prayer. We could recite this prayer, if you'd like, in English. It's applicable, I think, to all of us. I say, you say. We're taking, this is when Rupa and Sanatana Goswami first met Lord Chaitanya face to face. They went in the dead of night, incognito, to the place where Lord Chaitanya and his associates were. And so they, because they were government ministers, they had some position. So then they fell down at Lord Chaitanya's feet and they began offering prayers. So these are very appropriate prayers. We just said that prayer. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Stapitam Jaina Bhutali Swayam Rupa, this Kadamayam Dadati Sha Pandantikam. Rupa Goswami was particularly blessed by Lord Chaitanya with the understanding and mentality and the heartfelt understanding of how to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement all over the globe. So here we can follow in his footsteps. So let's recite this, and some later prayers also. Dear Lord,
Dear Lord,
Dear Lord,
let us inform you
let us
let us inform you
that no one is more sinful than us,
that
that
no one is
is
more
more
sinful
sinful than us,
nor is there any offender like us.
nor
is there any offender like us.
Even if we wanted to mention our sinful activities,
Even
Even
if
if
we
we
wanted
wanted
to
to
mention
mention
our sinful
sinful
activities,
activities,
we would immediately become ashamed.
we would immediately become ashamed.
And what to speak of giving them up?
And what to
what
speak
to
of
speak
giving
of
them up?
giving them up.
So before the spiritual master, one takes a humble position. The verse in Bhagavad Gita is Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upidekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. When approaching a spiritual authority, one doesn't do so with a challenging state of mind. Well, who are you? Who are you to tell me? What do you think you are? So, but pranipat means surrendered, by offering respect and surrender, becoming humble before the spiritual authority. So this is the example given here by Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Questions? Let's go to the next verse then.
পতিত পাবন হেতু তোমার অবতার আমা বই জগতে পতিত নাহি আর.
This reminds us of prayers by Narottam Das Thakur. The true brothers submitted, Dear Lord, you have incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. You should consider that in this world there is none so fallen as us. Potit Pavan means to deliver the fallen. Hetu is the cause of your coming. Potit Pavana Hetu. You've come for that purpose. Tomar, avatar. Ama Bhai Jogate, Potit Nahi. There's nobody in this whole world, in the whole universe. There is none so fallen as us. Narottam Das Thakur prayed, Patita pavana hitu tava avatar, moshama patita prabhu no poibea. The same idea. So let's say that. Dear Lord,
Dear Lord,
Dear Lord,
you have incarnated
you have incarnated
to deliver the fallen souls.
to
to
deliver
deliver the fallen souls.
You should consider
You should consider
that in this world
that
that in this world
there is none so fallen as us.
there is none so fallen as us.
So how can you reconcile here? They're saying this, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and later Narottam Das Thakur is saying a similar thing in his prayers written, some years later. So what would you make of that? He's talking about himself, and they're talking about themselves. What do you make of that?
Each one of us should be thinking like that.
Pure Vaishnavas do that. Pure.
Yeah, and it's not just a show. Yes, it's not just a show. Oh, okay, yeah, a show of being humble, but actually, there's a feeling that way that Lord Chaitanya said that also. Ayi nanda tanuja kinkaram patitam. He's saying, it's Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Patita mam vishame bhavam buddho. Kripaya tava pada pankaja sthita duli sadrisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servitor, but somehow I've fallen. I've become fallen here in this ocean of death. Please pick me up and fix me as an atom at your lotus feet. So another idea is that Lord Narottam Das Thakur is following in the line of the 6 Goswamis of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So he's not deviating from their attitude and approach of Lord Chaitanya as he approaches Lord Chaitanya in his prayer. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Karamore Toma Bina Ke Doyalu Jagat Sansare. Text 192.
জগাই মাধাই দুই করিলে উদ্ধার, তাহা উদ্ধারিতে শ্রম নহিল তোমার।
You have delivered the two brothers, Jagai and Madhai, but to deliver them, you did not have to exert yourself very much. So let's say, we're asking of this the Lord Chaitanya through our spiritual master. You have delivered the two brothers.
You have delivered the two brothers,
two brothers,
Jagai and Madhai.
Jagai and Madhai.
But to deliver them,
deliver them,
you did not have to exert yourself very much.
you did not have to exert yourself very much.
An interesting thing here, and as we're reading this, you see in the beginning of the verse in English, there's the quotation mark, but at the end there isn't. At the end there isn't. You know why that is?
Because it's continuing.
Yes, because this is continuing. Okay.
ব্রাহ্মণ জাতি তারা নবদ্বীপে ঘর, নিজ সেবা নাহি করে, নহে নিচের কুরপর।
The brothers Jagai and Madhai belonged to the Brahmin caste, and their residence was in the holy place of Navadvip. They never served low-class persons, nor were they instruments to abominable activities. Okay, repeat. The brothers Jagai and Madhai
Jagai and Madhai
belong to the Brahmin caste,
Belong to the Brahmin caste,
and their residence was in the holy place of Navadvip.
and their
residence was in the holy place of Navadvip.
They never served low-class persons,
They never served low-class persons,
nor were they instruments to abominable activities.
nor were they instruments to abominable activities.
So what do you make of they never serve low-class persons or instruments to abominable activities? Do you think Rupa and Sanatan are referring to there?
Jankazi.
Was that?
Themselves, they never served low class.
They didn't work for
They-
anybody else?
Yeah, Jagai Madhya weren't working for
Yeah.
anybody else. Yes, whereas Rupa and Sanatan were working
Yeah.
for Nawab Hussain Shah.
Nawab Hussain Shah, sorry, yes.
Yeah. They were working for, and because Nawab Hussain Shah was involved in abominable activities, and they were assisting him, they were somewhat feeling responsible. Does that make sense? Just like somebody may be working for McDonald's, but they may not eat the McDonald's hamburgers, but just by working for them, they get some karma, get some reactions, isn't it? Or whatever one does, one may work for a pharmaceutical company or so many other things that has, but because of their being instruments for their activities, there some probable degradation goes on. So they're really there's Krishna village.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
I think whatever the situation, Vaishnava always feels I'm the lowest. They are just comparing, but doesn't mean
Yes, but
Mm.
so it doesn't mean that they were not repenting that they were instruments, or was it? I mean,
Yeah,
is
they are
that just kind of
repenting.
talk
They're
about it? We
repenting.
don't really mean it.
Yeah, they're repenting, and that's the nature of Vaishnavas, I think, right?
Yes.
They are saying we are lower than you delivered Jagai Madhya, and we are lower than them.
Yeah, because they're not engaged in working for abominable activities. Yeah, there was in a book called I forget the title. It's a description of Srila Prabhupada's activity exclusively in Great Britain. So there was a Indian gentleman who was running a convenience store. In the convenience store, what do you sell?
Cigarettes?
Cigarettes, cold cuts, which are meat, all that stuff. So according to this, Srila Prabhupada asked, this person asked Srila Prabhupada if he could get initiated, but he also asked what he should do about his work. And you know what Srila Prabhupada said? Change it. Don't continue working that way. Instruments of abominable activities. So the man changed to a laundromat, and then he got initiated. Interesting. Anyway, it does make a difference what your activities are. Try to avoid activities that might encourage abominable activities. That makes sense? What do you think, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu?
That's right. Yeah, whatever we have done mistake, we can beg forgiveness, but we should not continue repeating the same thing.
Yeah. What to speak of giving them up, he said earlier. Yeah.
And our Acharya also, Gaur Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, he was feeling himself, consider himself so low that please drag me on the street of Dham when I die, something like that. So these are the humble, he was also presenting himself a very lower than anyone. So
yes, yeah, go ahead.
But the devotees, some of the sahajas, they consider his statement as a seriously, and they try to get ready to drag him like that because he's desired. But the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explained, well, that's the humility of him. That's the I see it. Otherwise, unless one person is a great, this humility will not come, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world wants to think that they're really important and the most important and most intelligent person. Even though sometimes we find out we're not, we try to ignore that or forget that, and try to maintain a system, an idea that, oh, we are very important and what we say is really the important thing. But someone who makes a little more progress in spiritual life can begin to appreciate a little more the insignificance of their being and the wonderful qualities and opulence of Lord Krishna and his truly exalted devotees. So therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, when Lord Krishna describes the qualities of knowledge, the first thing he mentions is amanitvam adambitvam. Amanitvam, not looking for glorification from others, and humility. So these, even though they were actually, it wasn't just a show that they were saying this, they actually had this understanding and feeling still. That's a symptom that they were highly elevated persons. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Ah.
The humility is definitely the topic here, and that it's difficult in itself. But on the other side, not taking part in work that is involved in abominable activities. Practically, how do we do it? I mean, the example you gave about the convenience store was sort of clear, but it seems like just about anything we are involved with is involved with things that go against our principles. How do we practically then deal with it? I mean, I work for a YMCA, and even the YMCA now is taking on positions that go against what we believe in. So what do I do? Do I quit then? Or, I mean, how do I,
well, it
any
depends
company
on what
that we work with, they're selling cigarettes or they're supporting guns or, whatever, how do we?
Well, you have to try to avoid it as much as possible and minimize it in the material world. Yes, in the material world, there's practically everything is messy, but so there was one devotee, he came to me and he was being recruited to work by the CIA. The CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. So I advised him, don't do that. Why? Well, they're involved in all kinds of nefarious activities all around the world that exploit people. So then he did some real estate business. Okay, it's a little cleaner. So minimize it as much as possible. And before one gets into it, one has to think about all those things. The first two qualities of surrender are accept those things beneficial for devotional service and reject those things that are detrimental. So it's a very, one should do that carefully and minimize it as much as possible in consultation with, your guru, the Shastras, and other devotees. I don't exactly know what nefarious activities the YMCA is doing, I have no idea. But, particularly, one, if there's, I'll give another example. So sometimes you go to a wedding, right? And in a wedding, they'll have drinks. Now everybody has, isn't it? At the wedding, they have drinks. Everyone has drinks. So what are you going to do? So what I do is I leave. That's what I do at that time. I don't want to participate in that thing. But, you can advise and you can recommend and try to minimize one's involvement as much as possible, not only for yourself, but for other people who are Krishna conscious or trying to be Krishna conscious. It's not a very specific answer, I know, but it's a good area to discuss. I mean, here they're saying this, and actually, according to the Vedic system, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, all three of those, they never take service. They're not engaged in occupation service to anybody else. It's only the Shudras, subservient to the others. And Prabhupada made that comment many times. So one has to be very careful to choose wisely. Understanding that it's almost impossible, as you mentioned, to avoid some of those things, but do the best you can. Pray to Krishna. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is very difficult. I mean, when you think about it, we go to the grocery store, they're selling things. I mean, it's, I guess we can only try and do our best and do as much as possible to not support it.
When Srila Prabhupada came over from India, he was wearing these, look like, what a genie would wear on his feet, like rubber, shoes with a little tip on the end.
Mhm.
And, later, at that time particularly, they didn't have many shoes made with, man-made materials, a lot of leather shoes. So devotees asked Srila Prabhupada what to do with, you can't find, it's hard to find this non-leather shoes. And you know what Srila Prabhupada responded?
Mhm.
Anybody?
He said to get leather shoes.
What's that?
Did he say to get leather shoes?
No, he said, better give away or throw away your leather shoes and somehow find man-made materials. That's what he said. Because it's part of abominable. Leather is part of abominable. So it has consequences. So those kinds of things you want to be careful about. So you'll see in pictures, Srila Prabhupada always has these, even later, they used to make these canvas shoes. He wears canvas shoes, and sometimes they would dye them saffron. Not always, but sometimes but that's so in the early days you'll see devotees always wearing those canvas shoes. I don't know what goes on now. I don't pay attention, but to avoid that, little careful. Brajesh Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for very nice topics. Yeah, I can also share with the Srila Prabhupada visited one time in this Canada Montreal temple when my Guru Maharaj Srila Jayapataka Swami, he's also working outside for the growing the temple. Then Srila Prabhupada asking, what you are doing in the outside? Then Guru Maharaj Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj said, I'm just washing the dishes. Then Guru Maharaj said, is it okay, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, yes. This is good because if it is feeling in the animal, means like you could cow or something like meat eating, and also like, buying the meat or something for helping this is not is all sinful. But if your dishwashing, this is not any sinful activities. I remember this thing. That's why I shared, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brajesh Govinda Prabhu.
Thank you.
Anyway, something to think about as we try to minimize our negative activities. Okay. Text 194.
সবে এক দোষ তার হয় পাপাচার, পাপ রাশি দহে নামা ভাসেই তোমার।
Jagai and Madhai had but one fault. They were addicted to sinful activity. However, volumes of sinful activity can be burned to ashes simply by a dim reflection of the chanting of your holy name. So let's repeat that first before I read the purport. Jagai and Madhai had but one fault. They were addicted to sinful activity.
They were addicted to sinful activity.
However, volumes of sinful activity can be burned to ashes simply by a dim reflection of the chanting of your holy name. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami presented themselves as being lower than the two brothers Jagai and Madhai, who were delivered by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. When Rupa and Sanatana compared themselves to Jagai and Madhai, they found themselves inferior because the Lord had no trouble in delivering the two drunken brothers. This was so despite the fact that they were addicted to sinful activities. In other ways, their life was brilliant. They belonged to the Brahmin caste of Navadvip, and such Brahmins were pious by nature. Although they had been addicted to some sinful activities due to bad association, those unwanted things could vanish simply because of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Another point for Jagai and Madhai was that as members of a Brahmin family, they did not accept service under anyone. The Shastras strictly forbid a Brahmin to accept service under anyone. The idea is that by accepting a master, one accepts the occupation of a dog. In other words, a dog cannot thrive without having a master. And for the sake of pleasing the master, dogs offend many people. They bark at innocent people just to please the master. Does that happen? Similarly, when one is a servant, he has to perform abominable activities according to the orders of the master. Therefore, when Dabir Kash and Shakara Malik compared their position to that of Jagai Madhai, they found Jagai and Madhai's position far better. Jagai and Madhai never accepted the position of serving a low-class person, nor were they forced to execute abominable activities under the order of a low-class master. Jagai and Madhai chanted the name of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu by way of blasphemy, but because they simply chanted his name, they immediately became free from the reactions of sinful activities. Thus, later, they were saved. So these similar points that we were just speaking about being reinforced here in this purport by Srila Prabhupada. I'm reminded that also when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also talks about himself in relation to Jagai and Madhai, he also finds himself inferior to Jagai and Madhai. That's earlier in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. which is quite shows that this is an important quality of person advancing spiritual life. And the point of the dim reflection of the chanting of the holy names, this point was debated by Thakur Haridas. He was saying in one assembly of learned persons in Navadvip that just by a dim reflection of the chanting of the holy names, one becomes liberated. So then one person challenged him, said, "Oh, if that's true, then may my nose fall off." Then shortly thereafter, the person contracted leprosy and his nose fell off. So it's true, yes. The Srimad Bhagavatam support for this idea is there in the pastime of Lord Vishnu and the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas with Ajamil. He chanted the name Narayan. How many times did he chant Narayan as he was about to die?
Called 2-3 times for his son.
You said, hey, of course, before he was chanting for his son, but right there when the Yamadutas came, how many times did he chant? 2-3 times then?
Only once, Prabhuji.
He was calling his son one.
Yeah, he was only once.
That's
Only
all.
once.
Yeah.
Only once. Only once. Not even twice. It happened in Philadelphia that this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was a class on it, and the devotee who was reading the Sanskrit and the verse, his name was Nitai. He said, and Ajamil shouted, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And Srila Prabhupada interrupted. And he said, no, one time Narayan, one time. So Nitai said, well, it's in the book. It says 3 times here. And Srila Prabhupada said, then it should be changed. That's not correct. Then Nitai afterwards admitted that he had changed it. He had changed it in the book. He was trying to put it off as, but he had changed it in the book. So just one time Narayan, but he was thinking of his son, but at the same time he did remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he had worshipped in his youth. So that even though it was not pure chanting, it was namabhas that freed him from so many sinful reactions that the Yamadutas were prevented from taking away the soul and the subtle body of Ajamil. And then they had the discussion. It's a wonderful discussion about the potency of chanting the holy names, even one time, without any material motive. Namabhas. Comments, questions, observations?
Is chanting same as hearing?
Well, chanting is chanting and hearing is hearing. They go together. Both are good. Of course, we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing is especially important, and in order to chant properly, you have to hear properly. But they go together. But particularly in this age, it's especially recommended the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And of course you want to hear it also, along with that. Shravanam Kirtanam, yeah. Sometimes in our kirtans that we have, you see, it's become popular not to chant, but just to play a drum or play kartals and stuff like that. So the result is that the hearing and chanting doesn't go on nicely, becomes messy. Yes, Mother Mitravindi, you were saying something, I think.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. I wanted to ask if you could please elaborate further on material motivation. I think that there's not enough communication on understanding what that means. In reference to spirituality, Krishna consciousness, because there are very specific things that Krishna likes, and offering those things to Krishna, we can be Krishna conscious. But then there's times when it may be something a child likes, and mommy is offering it to Krishna, of course. So the aspect of material motivation, please elaborate on that further.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Thank you.
So, I was specifically talking about material motivation and chanting and such. There's something that they have in the Christian world. It's called prosperity gospel. This prosperity gospel, which is a big deal. And people, you think if you're a religious person, you'll get a lot of good stuff. You'll become rich. You'll have a nice house. You'll have a nice car. You'll have a nice family. So the idea being that the purpose of the religious function is to get all this stuff, material stuff. It's also there in the Vedas. You'll find for some people are familiar with the Satyanarayan Katha. Many of you have heard of Satyanarayan Katha. And Satyanarayan Katha, there's a performance, and the point of the performance, they tell a story about how a person promised to do this particular kind of puja to Narayan. And, he got delayed again and again, and because he got delayed, he, troubled things. He lost a lot of his opulence, and so many troublesome things happened to it. But finally, when he did the Satyanarayan Katha, he got all of his stuff. He got a lot of stuff back. Something like the story of Job in the Bible. So, but the Hare Krishna movement, we don't do Satyanarayan Katha, because that right from the beginning is the idea that, we're praying or we're doing some religious service for a material benefit. Krishna may benedict you with things or not, depending on his desire. Our purpose, we want to focus on doing things that please him for his pleasure, not for our pleasure or for other people's pleasure. That's sometimes difficult. We like to, if we chant, we think, I want to chant in such a way that everybody's happy or be pleased. There's a certain kind of chant called an alap. You know what alap is?
Alap.
People go on and on like this without actually chanting the mantra, the name. And Srila Prabhupada did not like that. He stopped it. But now it's becoming popular. So sometimes people say, well, no, the devotees like it. Well, you got to be careful. We're doing chanting, we're doing kirtan, not for the masses, but for the pleasing the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and Lord Krishna. So we have to kind of fix our minds on that, because we can easily get deviated, and that's a little hard. So we have to go back to what is the purpose, who is giving us the direction, and how is it there? Then the point of the offering food stuff or bhoga to Krishna that pleases your kid instead of Krishna, well, that's a little tricky. That's a little tricky one. One can make an argument that Krishna has there's so many things that Krishna likes. We know he likes, he says, give me, it will come. We're coming to that point in the Caitanya Caritamrita, maybe in a couple of weeks. There's a whole feast that Advaita Acharya is going to be offering to Lord Chaitanya, one thing after another. Mana Kachu, Shak, and all these different things. So we can see what Krishna is liking, Lord Chaitanya is liking. But Is it exhaustive? No. Is it complete? No. They say that Srimati Radharani never made the same preparation twice. Okay. But at least we should be conscious that we're making this to please Krishna, and try to adjust it in some way to include many of those items that Krishna likes, or we know Krishna likes, in our offering. At the same time, we need to satisfy Krishna and his devotees as well, but it's a little tricky there. It's a little tricky. Does Krishna like dosa? Does Krishna like dosa? Huh? Anybody from South India here?
No, no, Prabhu.
How do you know Krishna doesn't like dosha?
Because this time we did not remember anything like Ma Jasoda or their others neighbors offered this dosa. They are making the laddu or something like this. And
So then
sweet
went to Venkateshwar like dosha, no? Venkateshwar like dosha. And Krishna has his different, and all the expansions and incarnations are present within Krishna, as Krishna. Lord Ramchandra is there, and Venkateshwar is there. Oh. So I mean, it's a little, it's a little broad-minded when thinking about it. But if we become more interested in pleasing our own senses than pleasing Krishna's senses, then we get into trouble. Does that make sense? So, that's a little tricky thing that we should be conscious of, at least. And if you go to Bijnor, which is in North India, near Kurukshetra, they say that Vidura had his ashram there in Bijnor, and they have a temple there. It's called Vidur Kuti. And in the temple, you have Krishna and Vidura and his wife, and they're offering. What are they offering?
banana split.
Is it green, leafy?
Batwa, yeah, batwa is a kind of shak. Yeah, it grows wild there everywhere. Batwa. It's like a weed almost, but Krishna's taking batwa. There's the verse, Duryodhana kabhoganakaya ruka shaka viduragarakaya. So, of course, the prime element of all this is one's actual devotion. But of course, if you have devotion, you say you have devotion, you want to offer what Krishna likes. As much as possible. You have to adjust to certain circumstances. It's okay. Sometimes people say, well, Srila Prabhupada only liked Vedic preparations. Well, that's not really true. We read in the Great Transcendental Adventure in Australia, written by Kurma. He might have had a vested interest in this, but he was a cook. He was the cook. But he made apple crisp for Srila Prabhupada. And what happened? Srila Prabhupada asked for seconds. Oh, okay. And that's not necessarily a Vedic, but in general, he recommended, in general, those things. Standard preparation. Sandesh, rasagulla, samosa,
Like Sundays, Prabhu, in South India, whatever we are famous of cooking or anything, we try to offer that.
You offer what?
Whatever, like you said, dosha, whatever.
Yeah, so I was
whatever kind of things we like, we are used to cook, we offer to Krishna with love and devotion, bhakti.
Yeah.
That is the very important thing. With devotion, whatever we offer, Krishna likes it. North India, South India, it doesn't make any difference. That's what I feel.
Yeah. I was making the point that we don't have any record of Lord Krishna eating dosha in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as far as I know.
Oh, Bhagavatam may not be.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. When Krishna was there at Govardhan Hill, he gave instructions to his followers. Okay, make these things. He make these things. What did he say? Make halava. He said halava. Now some people say, well, actually, no, he didn't say any of that stuff. The halava came from Turkey and stuff like that. Well, that there's no evidence that. I mean, nowadays people say so many things. In fact, if you look in the history books, they say that gardening was brought to India by the Mughals. You know, the Mughals came from Afghanistan and all.
Mughals.
But we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's gardens, beautiful gardens in Mathura, in Dwarka. So no, I mean, it could be that they fell out of favor for a little while, and then they were revived by the, certain group. Just like in this country, people became mad after pizza, which was from Italy. And nobody cared about pizza in Italy. Now they like pizza in Italy because it's been revived there, although it originated there. So similarly, they say gulab jamans came from Turkey and all that stuff. No, they're there in the Vedic view, but it may have fallen out of fashion at a certain time and been revived. Okay. Dosa, vada. In Bengali, you say bora, right? Isn't it bora?
Yes, Prabhu.
Bora. That's what.
They don't use V. That's what.
Yeah, that's where in ISKCON the word barat came from, because people can say bora, mudga bora, mosh bora, roti, all that stuff. All right, Hare Krishna. So stay tuned for the time when we go through the menu of Advaita Acharya. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Mahavishnu, and he and his wife made all these, Sita Thakurani made all these preparations, and then in that part of the Caitanya Charitamrita, which he welcomed Lord Chaitanya to his home right after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, and then for 3 days he was fasting. And the first place he took prasadam after taking sannyas was at the house of Advaita Acharya in Shantipur. And then all these preparations are listed by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada said, the editors of our cookbook should include these preparations in their book. So I don't think that was ever done. So that might be a project for, everybody, some of us, to do. We didn't know anything when Srila Prabhupada came, and he taught us some things, and here's some more things to learn about how to do service, cook in this case, for pleasing Lord Krishna
Hare
and Lord
Krishna,
Chaitanya.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Mother Mukti Datri.
Yeah, so you are talking about Batwa Shak, right?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Anybody wanna see? My garden have.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's really tasty though.
First I get tasty.
I heard like Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, he likes Batwa Shak.
Yeah. We know. Yeah.
Oh,
The thing is, Krishna likes it, and so everybody else likes it afterwards. Yeah. So in the we'll read it later. I don't want to give everything away, but later we'll read that there's so many different preparations and many different kinds of shak were offered to Lord Chaitanya by Advaita Acharya and Mother Sita Thakurani. All right, I got off on a tangent here. A little bit. Anyway, that's what I do. So any other comments or questions or observations here?
Yes, Prabhuji, like what we talk about the material motives if you're chanting the Krishna names or Narayan or any of these his card incarnation name. You are talking about the Ojamils, like, but I'm not sure, Prabhu, might be my understanding is wrong. But this Ojamil, this time when he scared for the Jamadutta, he screaming and called his son named Narayan. this time he did not getting the origin for the transcendental name of the Krishna or Narayan. He just only for the called his material motives only for his son name. But his words.
It said no. He was calling the name in complete helplessness. Initially, he was thinking for his son, but then he remembered the original Narayan that he had worshipped in his youth. So she's described it was not it wasn't pure chanting. Definitely, it wasn't exclusively in love for pleasing Lord Krishna, but it wasn't for a material motive, and that's called namabas. So that's how it happened. There's quite a few purports about this. It's a Shukadeva Goswami gives that pastime in answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question: how can people become freed from hellish conditions, after performing sinful activities in their life? So he gives this as the answer. Parikshit Maharaj rejects all other kinds of prayaschitta, counteracting one kind of karma with another karmic activity, like atonement of various kinds. And then he says, Kechit kevalaya bhakti vasudeva parayana agam dunvanti kartsneya niharam iva bhaskara. He says that just devotional service without any taint, that destroys unlimited sinful reaction, just as the sun dissipates fog as it rises in the morning. So
yes, I read this part from Srila Prabhupada. You write exactly nice.
Yeah. So so then the whole story of Ajamal explains that specific verse. He wasn't doing it. He was doing it in complete helplessness, as the Acharya's comment there.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
But not in love. But pure chanting, that's with the love of Godhead, is pure, but not that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhye
His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu ki jai. Samata Gaur Bhakta Bindu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Vishnugada Prabhu.